What up, y'all? It's your boy Rick, aka the People's Barber, international Wahl educator. And today, I'm gonna show you guys how to do a mid-bald fade, what I like to call a flawless fade. So let's get to it. To start off, I'm gonna be using my Wahl cordless magic clips. Why? Because they've got a stagger tooth blade with the surgical as well, meaning the way the blade's gonna cut and how close this surgical blade is gonna get, it's gonna give me the shortest, cleanest cut possible. And because of that is why I'm gonna be using my cordless magic clips today. On top of the head, we're gonna be using a number 4 guard. Told y'all we're gonna do a mid-bald fade. I wanna go short. I live in South Texas, y'all. It's already hot. Right now, it's 92 degrees outside, and we're not even summer. So because of that, most of my customers like their hair really short. Number 4 guard, premium attachment comb. Make sure you hear that click. Once you hear that click, you'll be good to go. I also want to make sure that my lever is all the way closed, because if it were open, it would now be a 4.5. I want to make sure it's all the way close to a number 4. Turn it on and then get to cutting. Just going against the grain, getting it as nice and clean as possible. Right now, with this number 4, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. Although the easiest way to debulk it would be to go against the grain first, and then of course with it, and then sideways if need be, and all the way around, just to get it as nice and clean as possible. And all we're doing right now, guys, is debulking my client's hair. Although this is an easy step, it's also a really crucial step. And here's why. We want to make sure we get every hair follicle into our guard to make it a true number 4. What we don't want is to somehow miss some because we were being lazy and not taking our time and getting the hair to go through our magic clip as we should, because we had a lot of people waiting for us. Well, then my client goes home after the haircut's all said and done, and there's 1 or 2 hairs that are sticking out that we just didn't get because we were in a rush. Make sure we just get through with this. Let's make sure that you get all the hair follicles, all the hair in your guards as nice and clean as possible. Yes, it takes an extra 2 minutes, but the outcome would be way nicer, way cleaner, and your customer would love you for that. All right, so I'm pretty confident and satisfied and happy with our number 4. Now what I'm gonna do is grab my cordless 5-star seniors, close my lever, and get my guide all the way around the parietal ridge. Well, actually below the parietal ridge, because we're gonna make this a mid-bald fade. And when it's mid, we wanna go right around the ear area, right on top of the ear, and that is gonna be our guide all the way across. What I'm gonna do is start in the nape area. Small C-like motion. As I'm getting to the area that I want to start to blend, I do a small C-like motion like so. I don't just go straight up, and I don't come in and do a hard line of demarcation like so. Why? Because our job is to work smarter, not harder. And I don't want to do more work. I want to do as less blending work as possible. And doing that small C-like motion actually helps with the blending. Just getting my guide all the way around the circumference of my head, my customer's head. Remember, this is a mid bald fade. This is a true zero. With my cordless seniors. All right, guys, now that we have the zero all the way around the circumference of my head for a mid-bald fade, I'm gonna bring out my cordless magic clips again. Now what I'm gonna do is open up my lever to a half, because we've already done the zero right here with the cordless 5-star seniors. Here with my cordless magic clips, small C-like motion, keeping the blade on the scalp. Once still using that small C-like motion like so. Now that we've used the half, I'm gonna grab my number 1 guard. Plug my number 1 guard in, close my lever, making it a true number 1. Coming right above the area we just did the half with. I'd say about a 1/4 of an inch. Still small C-like motion with my blade on the scalp the entire time. And this is just a fade brush, soft bristle fade brush. Now I'm gonna open up my lever to a 1.5 and continue right above the area we just finished with my number 1. Now my next step, I'm gonna grab my number 2 guard. For the most part, what we're doing is very repetitive. We're just using different guards, different lengths to get the blend as nice and flawless as possible. So we've done the 0, we've done the half, we've done the 1, we've done the 1.5. Now I've got my number 2 guard on, close my lever, making it a true number 2, coming right above the area we just did the 1.5. Small C-like motions. Now opening it to a 2.5. And I don't feel the need to even come in and use my number 3 guard, but every client's hair and head shape are gonna be a bit different. So if you feel the need to go ahead and grab your number 3 guard, feel free to do so. The cool thing I like about our industry, guys, is there's no right or wrong way to do what we do. The ultimate fact is that as long as our customer's satisfied with our work, we've done our job. So those are what I like to call the basic steps of fading. The 0, the half, 1, 1.5, 2, and even a 2.5. Now what I'm gonna do is what I like to call buffering. I'm gonna be using my lever right here, opening and closing with just my thumb. Doing just like so, from open to close and somewhere in between. When my lever is completely closed, it is a 0. When my lever is completely open, it is a half. When my lever is in between a 0 and a half, it is a 1/4. When my lever is in between a 0 and a 1/4, it is now an 1/8. There are a bunch of other mathematical fractions in between here that I can't tell you what they are, but I know they work, and I'm gonna show you how. Still with my number 2 guard, I'm gonna close my lever now, and now I'm opening it just a tad, and then closing it back, and I'm gonna be doing so with my 1 and possibly even my half guard as well. Now I'm grabbing my number 1 guard, closing my lever, opening my lever and gradually closing it where I feel needed to get this blend as nice and clean as possible. Opening and closing my lever. Remember, this is the time frame, the area I'm talking about that I like to buffer. I am buffing the haircut to get the blend as nice and flawless as possible. Now what I'm going to do is grab my half guard. Opening and closing with my half guard, just like I was with all the others. The only area I see a little line of demarcation is right in there. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my number 1 guard, open up my lever, and try to remove that as much as possible. Now that we've got that complete, I'll go ahead and grab my cordless detailer LIs and clean up the area that we're using the 0 at. This one I'll get it as short as possible as I can with any clipper or trimmer that we make. But did you know that we also make a finishing tool? This is the Wahl Finale. This finishing tool will get the hair like a baby's behind. But here's the cool thing about the Finale. It's also dummy proof. What do you mean by dummy proof, Rick? Here's what I mean. It'll cut stubs. And get it as short as possible, like a baby's behind. But if you took it to longer hair, it does absolutely nothing. Why? Because it only cuts stubs, guys. This right here is straight up dummy proof. You cannot mess up. So some of you guys are cosmetologists, and in most states it's illegal to use a straight razor. Here is now your straight razor. You can give your customer that straight razor feel without ever having to pull one out. You're welcome. Now let's move on. We've completed the blend in what I like to call section 1. Now we'll go ahead and start on the back area, Nate section, what I like to call section 2, and then work around to finish off on section 3 as well. All right, now we're getting started in section 2, and I'm going the exact same way, guys. Cordless magic clips. Number 1, no guard, just the blade. Open up my lever to a half because we did a 0 right here. Small C-like motions, like so. This is exactly what I'm doing. This is what I mean by C-like motion, except the scalp is gonna be right here. So this is what we're gonna be doing. Sometimes you may see this. This is not what we're doing. This is how we're getting that blend nice and flawless. Small C-like motion. Keep the blade on the scalp the entire time. I am now completed with my half blade. Now I will grab my number 1 guard, clip it on, close my lever, making it a true number 1, continuing the same C-like motion, just lifting up the area that I'm cutting at by about 1/4 of an inch. Or you could also go about the width of your thumb. I know everyone's thumb is different, so it varies, but you get the idea that I'm trying to explain. Now I'm gonna open up my lever to a 1 1/2. With my lever all the way open, my blade is now set to a 1.5. Now I'm going to grab my number 2 guard. Make sure to click it on properly. Close my lever, making it a true number 2. Coming right back, same small C-like motion. Now I know some of you guys right now are probably getting a little agitated and upset that I haven't cut this portion of the head. I know that. Even when I do haircuts in real live models or in the barbershop salon, I always leave this, guys. Some of you guys are like, why? It's just irritating, it's irking me right now. I know there's some of you out there seeing that right now. To be honest, I leave this because whether I cut this at the very beginning of my haircut or at the end of my haircut, this area, the blend, the most important part, is not affected. Whether I cut this in the beginning or at the end, once again, the blend is not affected by that. So because of that, I like to go in and straight to work, which to me, the blend is our work. This is dessert per se. So still with my number 2 guard, cordless magic clips, stagger tooth blade, up and down, small C-like motion. Now I'm gonna open it up to a 2.5, go right above the area that I did a 2. And once again, these are what I like to call the blending steps. It's not completely flawless yet, but it will be, because now what we're gonna do is come back and we'll do what I like to call buff the blend out. I'm gonna use my 1.5. This is once again where I'm gonna be opening and closing my lever with my thumb. Try using your thumb with your lever versus your other hand. A lot of times we do this, when if we did this, it would save you 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes on every haircut. So because of that, I would love for you to try to practice. This is our homework assignment for today, guys. What are you doing at home? Your homework assignment for today is to grab a pair of cordless magic clips or any wall clippers that you have and just practice using your thumb in the same hand as the manner I just showed to try to get ready to start cutting some flawless hair. Yeah, man. All right, 1.5 is complete. Now I'm gonna grab my number 1 guard, close lever, but once again, I'm opening and closing to get the blend as nice and complete, nice and flawless as possible. Touching up any areas I may feel needed. Now I'm gonna grab my 1/2 guard. Some of you right now are like, Rick, I thought you did a 1/2. I did do a 1/2. I did a 1/2 blade. Now I'm gonna do a 1/2 guard. Well, what's the difference? The difference is 2 to 3 millimeters. Literally the thickness of your fingernail. But that thickness will make a world of a difference when doing short, tight blends like this. So with my 1/2 guard on, lever closed and open in between, trying to get this blend as nice and precise as we can. And I like the way that came out. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and move on to section 3. All right, now in section 3, exact same motions, guys, exact same steps. Now they're all gonna be tied together and get this fade more noticeable, get this blend, the perimeter of it all completed and done. So once again, still cordless magic clips, lever open because we did a 0 here earlier with my cordless seniors. So because of that, I'm gonna come in with it open to a 1/2. We've already done the 0. Small C-like motion. Now that we did this 1/2, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my number 1 guard. Continue the same process. Small C-like motion. Now I'm gonna grab my number 2 guard, close my lever, making it a true number 2. Small C-like motion. That C-like motion is a game winner right there, guys. The C-like motion is what actually allows the blend to come out as flawless as possible. Is it the only way? I'm sure it's not, but it's a convenient and easy way. Now I'm gonna open up that lever to a 2.5. Now this side, I see a little bit more hair sticking out. Just like any customer, one side of the head's probably not always gonna be shaped like the other side. So I am gonna use a number 3 guard here. Pop my number 3 guard on, close my lever, and cover right above the area I just finished my 2.5. Just because we do it on one side does not always mean we have to do it on the opposite side. Most of the time we will, but our clients' head shapes are a little different. Hair growth patterns a little different. You always have to take that into consideration when doing any type of men's style haircut. So now I like the way that's coming out. Now we're gonna buff out some lines of demarcation. I'm gonna start with my 1.5 guard. That's right, we make a 1.5 guard. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on, open up my lever, and then while I'm buffing, trying to get the line as precise as possible, I am then closing and reopening my lever all at the same time. Now that I feel we've got this completed, as nice as clean as possible, what I'm gonna do is now grab my number 1 guard and do the exact same steps. Opening and closing my lever, trying to buff out any lines of demarcation. Now, wrapping it up with my 1/2 guard. And then grabbing my cordless detailer LI and getting it as short as possible. And then you guessed it, that's right, coming back with my finale to get it as smooth as a baby's behind. So Rick, what about the back area? I haven't forgotten about that. So what we'll do here is grab my cordless detailer LI and just come and remove all the bulk from our nape area. And then to match the sideburn areas, we do want to grab our finale and clean up the nape area as well. So Rick, what about the edge up? Well, on a mannequin head, it's a little bit different, but I can show you the steps and the ways that I kind of do an edge up as well. With my Wahl cordless detailer LIs, I always start right above the nose area, in the center of the face, placing one of my fingers upon the forehead or the nose as support to make sure that the edge up is going to be as nice and clean as possible. I then work towards the side I'm standing on. I wouldn't be doing it edged up here, lining up across. I would be standing on that side as well. Still working towards the side I'm standing on. Brushing down any excess hair that may need to be lined up as well. Now that I feel comfortable on how this edge up looks on the side that I'm standing on, I'll go ahead and walk to the opposite side of my client to get the opposite side of the edge up completed. Using the same method we did on the opposite side. Keeping the edge up, you always want to keep the edge up as nice, clean, but natural as possible. We never want to push into anyone's hairline. And there we have it, guys. A mid-bald fade with the number 4 on top. Skin, baby behind skin on the sides using our Wahl finales, and a nice, clean, crispy edge up using our Wahl cordless detailer LIs. Thank you guys for joining us.